All right, let's go.
So it is the next day. Welcome back to Julie's World Crochet. I am Julie, and this is WIP and Talk. The reason I'm doing WIP and Talk is because I really like to work on my crochet, and I might as well chat at you while I do it. Right now I am working on, this is number 2 for Cassidy's exam blanket, exam throw. And the first one I talked about, well, the crochet, of course, and the yarn. And then I had a blurb about Discworld. You may or may not have seen it. Go ahead and skip through if you weren't interested. But it is one of my favorite book series, so I shared about that. This time we're going to just chat a little bit more and do a little bit more work on the blanket. I'm getting into the basket weave stitch part. Am I? No? Yeah, I am. I'm just finishing up my insert panel. I'll show you the blanket and the parts again. And I think this time I'm actually just going to talk about reaction videos. Because in the future I will probably throw in some stuff about some movies. I might do a movie this time too, just a couple of words. But anyway, let's talk about the project first. So I showed you before that I am working on Cassidy's exam blanket. This is from the Yarnspirations pattern, a free pattern. I took this panel, this part of the panel here, this set, this region, whatever, and it's just this backstitch double crochet, or yeah, backstitch and front post double crochet, back post and front post double crochet, a row of bobbles, a row of crossed double crochets, another row of bobbles, and then finish it with that the post crochet, so you get this kind of ridged cable there. So that's that panel, and I'm using that panel to bracket other pieces, so that it kind of looks like a stitch sampler blanket. And actually I'm kind of yes, this is the very beginning. So I had a panel, and I explained it on the first one. I just wanted to I wanted to be different than the Yarnspirations free pattern is this panel over and over again all the way through. And I didn't want that. That's not the look I wanted, but I did take advantage of using this piece, and now I've used it to bracket all the way through like fence posts. So I have a basket weave stitch section. I did the panel again, and then I put in a raspberry stitch section, and then I did the panel again. So I'm just finishing. Last time you saw me have to frog back a whole section of the blanket stitch. And what it is, you know, you mirror it, right? So panel, basket weave stitch, panel. Now I've put this raspberry stitch, it's in the middle, so like half of it. This is half of the size that I've got going on right now. And then I'm just going to mirror this on the other side. So I finished my raspberry stitch. I've got the panel in there now. I need to still do, there's that matching panel. I still need to do the basket weave stitch and the final panel. And that will complete my blanket. And I say a throw, it's like a couch blanket, right? So it's not a bed, full Afghan, king size, queen size, anything like that. But it is more than just a lapgan. And you don't have to. I'm going to talk about the size right now because,
All right, let's go.
oh, look what I've done. Let me pause. Let's try this again. Sorry, pardon me. If I learn how to edit better, I'll like blurb that out, and that won't be a problem. Okay, so what I want to talk about now, and what I didn't talk about when I was doing this, if you want to go ahead and get started, as soon as I'm finished this, I'm going to do a tutorial. Like I said, it'll be obviously a smaller piece because I just want to show you how to transition through the different stitches and make choices. If you want to adjust it, I'll give you some suggestions on ways to adjust it or change it into something else that you may want. But for this project, I happen to be using the Premier Basics worsted yarn. This is a 200 gram skein, 7 ounces. So keep in mind that a lot of skeins that we get now are like 100 grams. So this is a 200 gram skein. It has 359 yards per skein. I am using, so I'm expecting to get to the end of this six balls I'm expecting to get to the end of this at the end of this ball, which means I need, I bought them in packs of threes, and that's why I bring it up. I bought 2 packs of 3 of these skeins, right? So I had to buy a third pack because I've decided to make this bigger than my original plan, and I won't have enough for my border, so I had to order another set. If you don't want to do that, or if you don't have enough of whatever yarn you're working, just don't make it as big. You're going to be fine. This happens to be a fairly large throw. And what I would do, because when I started it out, I was just going to do panel, well, start from this side, panel, basket weave, panel, and then basket weave, panel, and that was it. So this whole section and one of these panels wouldn't have been in here. You lose, oh gosh, that's probably easily 15 inches of that width. And don't make it as long. One of the reasons I added this extra raspberry stitch section in here is because I had made this quite long, and I just didn't feel that my final length, like once I started going along to figure out how many inches across this was going to end up being, because you don't know, I'm making it up as I go along. So once I was measuring as I went to get a good feel for how wide it was going to become, and I didn't feel it balanced for as long as I had made it. If you don't have as much yarn that you're using, 6 skeins of this puts, or in the end I'm going to use 7 skeins. That is going to put me, oh my goodness, maybe not. 7 skeins is going to put me at 2,500. So I will have 2,515 is what I'm expecting somewhere to use, and 8 skeins puts me into the 28 and change, like 28.50. So somewhere in there. Now when I'm done, I'll know, and in the tutorial I'll be able to tell you exactly how much I used. But as it is now, that's kind of where I'm ballparking, and I have enough yarn to be able to complete that. But again, if you don't know you don't have enough, my suggestion would be to not make it as long. I've made this is 60 inches. I would, go ahead and make it like 48, 46 down, and that way when you take this panel out, when you take out the one panel and the raspberry, because then it'll just be this alternating, you will have about probably 36 inches, which is a really balanced shape for a lap gown. It won't be as big, like as long and as large, but this is going to be kind of a largish throw. This is a full-size throw. Make a smaller throw if you want to. It's still a really lovely piece. And if you have like a really bright color or really squishy, fuzzy kind of thing, a multicolor variant, it would make a really fun child's blanket, in which case you would use even less. You want to do something like, you can go ahead and make something like 42 by 32 or something like that, or 42 by 35 or 36 by 30, anywhere in there, and you'll use much less yarn. I will say this is not a terribly yarn eating pattern. It's just that it's a big project. That sucks up the yarn. We live with it. We understand. That's how it works. Anyway, I'm going to work along here. I wanted to talk to you about the yarn length. Promise you that I will get that actual details and the specifics when I go along. But if you're adventurous and it's none of these stitches are very hard. If you are a newish beginner like me, if I can do it, you could definitely do it. We will work it out. We will figure out how to make those adjustments so that you can get what you want and make it work, right? Okay, so here we have my yarn. I know I said I was going to come on, and every time I worked on it I was going to come on and just do it here. I didn't, because I had to frog all that back last time and ended up here, so at the beginning of this panel, and I was having a really nice afternoon. The cat was sitting beside me, and it was just, she was purring, the sun was going, I had the windows open, it was really lovely. So I just didn't bother to come in here to do the work right now. I was having a good time. So I did finish this little panel here with my bobble stitches and stuff, and now I am just doing the very beginning, where I will be starting the my basket weave stitch shortly. And that's what we're going to be working on today while we sit and chat. I'm really kind of enjoying this. Let me just get myself going. I'm really liking how this turns out. Like it is better than I'm expecting it to be. And I don't think this is going to take me that much longer, although I will admit I am not exactly sure. So I've chosen to go through with, I'm always making kind of adjustments from what the original pattern would suggest. And for this one, I'm just going along here to get to the other side with half double crochets, because I just really like half double crochet stitches. And I didn't want to put just more double crochets in, like it's just gapier. So I wanted it to be a little more dense for this part. And also when I put, if I did the double crochet, and I would have to do it twice, I already did it once. When I came in to start this basket weave stitch, the first round of the front post, which gives the length look of the basket weave, that one I find looks extra long because of it. So I'm hoping that by using the half double crochet, I get a better kind of starting edge for that part. We're going to find out. We're going to go along. And I'll show you in a few minutes, because as soon as I finish this row, I'm going to get started on the other. Everything else is going really good. I'm happy with this. I have not figured out what border to do. I'm not, I feel like I don't want a huge border, but I want it to be a couple inches. I really, let me get this yarn going. There we go. I really want it to be, a couple of inches, I think. I don't want it to be just double crochets all the way around. I find that's a little too loosey-goosey. And here's the thing. I kind of really resist, when you have to do the, I could do front and back post to get that ribbing. I don't really want a ribbed edge around this, I see it a lot. There's nothing wrong with it. There's times that I've used it. But for this one, I'm not looking for that. I don't want it to be super lacy. That's not the feel of what I'm designing here. So, lacy holy, I don't want shells going around. I haven't quite figured out. A linen stitch would be okay, a moss stitch kind of look. But I just made her mother a giant blanket of entirely moss stitch. So I kind of feel like it's kind of done. I don't want to, I don't want to fall back on, something so tried and true. So I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to do this. I might really just keep it really simple. I might just do several rounds of maybe even just the half double crochet. There's a half double crochet slip stitch that has a really interesting look. Like I might do a very simple stitch, but a very slight variation that just gives it an interesting kind of look or connection together when it's set, rather than trying to get fancy or do anything else. I don't really want bobbly sides, I don't think. That's one of the reasons I did the pattern the way it is. I didn't want it to be covered in baubles, which is totally fine. There's lots of great things, but you know what I mean. I just wanted a few for texture. I didn't want a whole piece like that. One thing I want to talk about actually is, which is just for an interesting little aside, if you're watching me, as I'm hoping you'll continue to join me because I really love the company, and I love having you here. Please, throw me a comment, do the like, subscribe thing, but throw me a comment, give me some feedback. Let's chat about the things that we are making, and we can help each other design and get done what we need to do. Pull up a coffee, pull out your WIP, and just let's do our thing. And in the meantime, I want to talk about, you're going to be sitting here, if you're joining me, watching me do the crochet, right? And if you are looking at me right now, you very well may be looking at my hands going, what the heck is she doing with her fingers? Especially my middle finger, because I'm pretty sure I'm one of the few people, I very rarely see anyone hold their yarn the way I do. Now, I learned how to hold my yarn from my grandmother. She was a home ec teacher and a fantastic crafter, seamstress, and a lot of crochet. Knitting too, but actually I really saw her crochet mostly. It's such a shame I didn't get a chance to really learn much from her. We didn't live in the same province. But I did. I mean, she really was my exposure for all of that. Anyway, and the reason I ask, I can't remember her setting me up with holding the yarn. I just know that I learned it from her. However, and I can't remember if I feel like I did it the way she did it, except I do it for a weird reason that I'm going to share right now. So, first off, if you're new and a beginner, my little recommendation is going to be take a moment to think about how you like to hold your yarn, how you like to feed it. I've seen it all kinds of ways. I've seen it, some people hold it through 2 fingers. I've seen people wrap it around their finger and then unwrap it and to put it around their yarn or around their hook. I've seen the standard way quite often goes over the main finger, and people hold with their further back, with their back fingers to hold their project. I have a hard time doing this. I'm going to explain why in a second. But what you should be doing is looking for a way that is ergonomically beneficial for you. And ergonomically is when you are training your movements, learning to do things, and doing work, physical work, in a way that minimizes the strain on your muscles, your joints, anything else all the other parts of your body that make movement happen, right? So, and the reason I say that is I am generally a fan of, I really like the way I hold my yarn because it lets me hold my material, my project, with my index finger and my thumb, which is the least strain on the muscles in your hand, as an aside. However, do it however you want. It should be whatever's comfortable for you, that you can sustain yourself, that is not stressful, so that you don't build up any repetitive motion injuries or other strains that create difficulties for you. But for me, the reason I hold it wonky, and feel free to make fun, I'm all for a good joke. I'm not British, but I watch a lot of British TV, and I really fall into the go ahead and mock me. I understand. I would mock me too, because I can't actually use this finger. And the reason I can't use the finger, so I don't even know if I showed this in another video, but I'm going to show it to you now. When you're a kid and you play like cops and robbers and you got your little finger guns and oh my goodness. So for my finger gun, I'm right-handed. That's my right hand. That works fine, right? I can do my pull the trigger or pull the trigger, cock the gun, whatever you want to call it. That works fine. This hand, it does not. So I can pull the trigger. I can't bend my thumb without also bending my index finger. As a matter of fact, if I hold this finger straight so it can't bend, I can't. It makes me laugh every time. I can't. I'm trying so hard. I wish you could feel the strain and the pressure here. I'm trying so hard I cannot bend my thumb unless I can also bend my index finger. And it's probably that there's some tendon joined, or maybe it's a nerve connect. It's probably a tendon, but I cannot, even though no matter how much I want to. But that also means that every time I bend my thumb, my index finger bends. So if I'm trying to hold my work and my yarn, doesn't matter if I'm holding it with, these 2 fingers at the bottom. Say I want to use it like this. I'm holding it with my thumb. So every time I move my thumb to do something, my index finger also bends, and I drop my yarn all the time. Like, it drops off all the time. So the solution is, instead of using my index finger for the yarn, I'm using this. So I look like I'm giving the universe the bird all the time. Every time I'm mad at my, my work, and do I have to frog this? I can just walk around like this and take out my frustrations. So if you're ever wondering why I look wonky when I'm working my crochet, that's why. But that's okay. It feels really good. It's really comfortable. It's really easy to do. I find that it keeps my hands... I'm getting very comfortable now. I'm building up the muscle memory. So, which goes a long way. It makes it really easy and comfortable to do the work and to make progress as I go along and to feel really smooth about it. And I especially, and you'll see on the right, and maybe it's because of the way I hold my yarn or something, but you'll see that I really I'm like hand over right onto this hook, and I hold it really quite close. I know that a lot of people don't. I've seen people, I don't know, who've come in from this way, come in from this way. You can hold it however you want. It just needs to be comfortable. It needs to allow you the ability for the fine manipulations that you need to make. And again, you want it to be not so repetitive or stressful on your hands, joints, muscles, nerves, whatever. As long as it's not stressful so that you're straining yourself, more power to you. I mean, you could put it around your pinky finger, use your Expelliarmus or whatever and make that work. Could you imagine? Whatever works to make your project work, like to make it happen for you. It's the beauty of it. There really isn't a wrong way to do it. There's no cheating about it. Like there's not you can't do it that way. Any way you manage to make the work happen, you're doing fine. Okay, I'm at the end. This was let me just double check where I'm at. So the good thing about including a basket weave stitch is that it doesn't matter if you're front or back. There's both sides. Look at me. By the way, in the last video, I know I said blanket stitch all the time. It is a basket weave stitch. I added it in the videos, but I'm going to do my very best to get this right this time. I cannot believe I made that mistake over and over again. In my head, I know I meant basket weave stitch. And somewhere between my brain and my mouth, totally disconnects. Anyway, so one of the good things about choosing that for this, well, there's a couple of reasons, but one is that I don't have to worry about the right or wrong side. There is a right side for this panel. So, and once you're in the right direction, you just do the whole pattern for the panel and it'll work out because it's preset to be fine. So it's not that it's difficult or anything, but I don't want to have to fuss like that the whole way through. So instead, I mean, that's one of the reasons I chose this. It gave me good texture. It was pretty easy to do. I didn't have to fuss hard about stitch counts. It wasn't going to suck up all my yarn. So it's a win-win-win all the way around. So that's really great. So then I have to worry about it over here. I am going to do 4 bands, I guess. I mean, there's 4 rows per band, so it's ultimately going to be 16 rows, but I'm just counting it for the number. I'm doing 4 bands just like I did here. That was wide enough. That's where I stopped. When you do this, I guess I should hold it up this way when it's easier. So there's my let me do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, way over here. And look, I'm on the wrong side here. If I hold up the wrong side, that was the other reason I'm really kind of liking this basket weave stitch here. This, all kinds of texture, because this is the right side. But even the wrong side, I don't have the baubles that go with the panel, but I can still see a little bit of texture because of this crossed double crochet row in the middle. And then, of course, this basket weave gives me a section of visual interest. So it's not, even on the back side, it is not something, it's still not boring. You know what I mean? It's not boring. This is a solid color. I wouldn't want to make this all out of, half double crochets all the way up. It'd be fine. I guess I don't want to say anything. I don't want to disparage anyone. If that's what you did and you love it, more power to you. Love it. Absolutely. Do what you love. But for me, that is I never would have been as pleased with it, so I'm actually kind of pleased that this will work out. The other thing I'm going to point out, I told you I was working along, measuring, and once I got through this part, I decided that this was not going to be, if I did it here and just finished it out, right? Panel, basket weave, panel. If I just did basket weave and panel to finish that width, it would not have been like, it would have been this narrow and much too long. So I didn't want to do that. Actually, it probably would. This would be about the width, and that just was not wide enough for the length I had originally done. So that's why I inserted a middle panel here, and just added the thing. This middle section that is the raspberry stitch. Now, I chose this at the last minute. You can choose any stitch you want. What I'm going to point to, this works fine. It's totally fine. We talked about you try and choose something with 1 or 2 stitch repeat, but other than that, choose what you want. Now, don't fuss. If you go ahead and choose whatever you choose, remember this is a stitch sampler. So you have a bunch of different stitches making up the fabric that is your piece. And what I noticed, and I'm trying to see if I can, so this really easy to keep nice and straight. Basket weave, also really easy to get a pretty good straight edge as you come along. And same with this raspberry stitch, it's actually really easy. I didn't lose or gain any stitch counts, but still it is a little more, there's a bit of a curve. It's like a little more narrow through where the raspberry stitch part is. Not by much, it is not terrible in any way, but it is slightly noticeable. So like if I was just going to not finish it and leave the edges, I think it would be slightly noticeable. I'd have to, I mean, I could block it out and everything, but it's something to be aware of. I didn't drop any stitches or gain any anywhere else. It's not like that. It's the nature of this raspberry stitch. It is a single crochet and then a front post single crochet, and that front post, that wrap around, kind of tightens it just a smidge. But by the time I go across for the width or the length of this blanket, we really gain, we probably scooch it up maybe by like 1/4 of an inch, as opposed to say the blanket stitch, which is these blanket stitch. Oh my god, I'm telling you, I just somewhere brain to mouth telling you these days. So I'm not alone. I can't be alone on this. With the basket weave stitch, it is just these double crochets in rows of them. So there's a lot more movement. It doesn't tighten up quite the same. This is not going to be a problem, and that's what I'm trying to reassure you of. Don't fuss about it. It is not in any way, like it's not a hugely noticeable thing, and we're putting a border on. I'm going to put a border all the way around it. It's going to help it sit nice and flat, stretch it a little bit. It gets a good wash, laid out to dry, and those fibers are going to set in and relax in a really comfortable way. So this is not a problem in any way, shape, or form. And don't panic if you have those variations. You are using different types of stitches in each section. It's not impossible, but it can be pretty close to impossible to be absolutely cleanly perfect when you're combining a variety of stitches together into one piece. So but again, there's a lot of things that are really forgiving about work in crochet, so it's going to be absolutely fine. Where am I at? Besides which, I have to put a border on, because you can see this very first one, it loves to fall over. See, it loves to fall over. I don't know. Here we go. This piece, because of these, it just, yeah. But once I put, I'm not going to worry about it at all. Once I come around and put this border on, that's going to have it sit flat now instead of folding away. So let me get to the other end where I'm working. I have done my half double crochets all the way down, and now I am starting the official basket weave stitch, which is incredibly easy. I did say last time not to worry about it. They'll tell you if you look up a basket weave stitch, I'll tell you what I'm doing when I do it, but when you look up a basket weave stitch, it's it'll tell you to there we go. It'll tell you to multiples of 8. That is because I'm going to go back down to my basket weave down here. That is because you're going to do 4 front post, 4 back post double crochets. And that makes like this grid here. Whoops, I didn't even help you. 4 front posts, 4 back posts. So you get a grid right here, 4 and 4. There's 4 there too across. This is your 8 stitches. That's why they say 8 stitches, because one alone you can't tell that's a basket weave. You need at least 2 squares to get an idea that there's a pattern happening. You don't need 8. Look, you could do it in multiples of 4. You have a long enough blanket. Once you have more than 4 stitches, like multiples of 4, once you have more than 1 square, you're golden. So you're fine. Multiples of 4 are fine. And even I told you, it doesn't actually matter if at one of the sides you don't actually have an even 4. You can either fudge, which we'll have to talk about another time. Fudging is when you can just wing it a little bit so that it'll sit and looks like that, or looks good and fits well, even if the stitches are not exactly the original count. But really, it's just like doing brickwork, like when you have, or tiles, when you have a partial to the end, you just cut it in half. And our eyes, we are used to seeing that. It's going to have a border around the side. We're going to have this beautiful, like, lovely grid all the way across. You're not going to notice if one side only has three stitches as part of this instead of 4. We accept it and just our eyes let that blend right in. It's not going to be any problem. So you don't have to worry about your stitch count for this. But because it works on both sides, I can just go ahead and do my 4x4x4. And when I'm done the basket weave portion, that's when I'm going to do my next panel. And this panel that has a front side and a back, a right side and a wrong side. That's when I do this panel, I will make sure I'm in the right direction so that I can get it done. Now, what I will tell you, I do use, for the basket weave stitch, I use a stitch marker. Only because I want to do 4 rows across, and my eye, especially early on, can't always tell if I'm in the right row yet. Did I do 3 rows or 4 rows or 5? Like, is this going to balance? I know I want to do 4 rows. So all I'm going to do is I put the stitch marker in here just so I know that this was row 1. And I'm not even moving it or counting it. I'm going to go down and back. So when I come back, I'll see that the stitch marker's here and I know I'm on 2. When I go down and I come back again, I will have done 4, and then I know it's fine. And the problem is if I don't, I forget which row was my starting row and which is not. And I just have to take an extra minute to look more carefully. Again, still being kind of new, I can't see it necessarily as quickly. So I have to look really carefully so I can figure out what I might have done. It's just much easier for me to stick this on here to know that this is my starting side. Down and back is 2. Down and back again is 4. Now I can start on the opposite. Basket weave is super easy. It is entirely double crochets. I like it better than I thought I would. This is the first time I've really done it in anything other than, like kind of tried it out, where I've actually put it in one of my pieces. And I'm pretty happy with it. So I've done a stacked single crochet. You can just go ahead and use 3 chain 3, but whatever, get your work up high enough. And I'm going to do, this is 1. I'm going to do them in groups of 4. So 4 back post double crochets, 4 front post double crochets, and I'm going to alternate all the way through. You can start however you want. If you want to start with front post double crochets, you absolutely can. It doesn't matter. You just want to be alternating. That's the only deal that goes on with this. Now, remember, I've done this stacked. This counts as one of my double crochets. So I'm going to do 3 more. I'm just starting with the back because I tend to start with the back post. So, oh no, I'm not. I'm doing front post. I lied. I'm going to do front post because that's what I just did without thinking about it. So 1, 2, 3. So I have my first one, and I've done 3 front post double crochets. And all I have to do is switch over and do 4 back post double crochets. Whoops. And I'm going to seriously? Oh my God. There we go. And once I have done my 4, once I get my first row done, once I get the first row started, then we're on a roll. I don't have to think about anything. See, I'm going into my half double crochet row, which is what I wanted, but there's not as much give as there is when you're doing it around a double crochet. So let me do a few of these. I'm just going to proceed along and do a few of these, and when I have more done, we're going to stop and take a look at it. So in the meantime, I'm just going to chit chat about other stuff. And what I'm going to talk about now, well, first of all, spring is here, which I'm really pleased about. I live on an island, and it's really lovely weather. I am in Canada, I should say, and we still have winter. I appreciate having seasons. So I lived in Texas for 10 years, and it's really odd because, I mean, one of the things, if you're Canadian, I mean, and depending where you are in the States, you've heard the phrase snowbird before. And what we're referring to is people who live in Canada and at home in the summer, and spring, summer, fall, whatever. But then come winter, they pack up everything and they head on down to another property they have, where they have an RV or whatever they're doing. They go down to the villages, their timeshare, and they spend the winter in the south, where it's warmer and they don't have to deal with snow or anything else. And there's quite a lot of people who did that, do that for a lot of years. And very happy about it, nothing wrong. So, I mean, I moved down to Texas, and for a lot of reasons. I was in love, and I had all kinds of reasons. I didn't hate winter, but I happened to have lived in a very cold part of Canada, to the point where I didn't really understand that winter is not as cold elsewhere. So where I am now, winter's lovely. I'm sorry, I really enjoy having winter. I really enjoy having I need to be careful here. I really enjoy having winter. I like, when the fall comes in, I like the crisp air. I like when winter's ends and it's coming out of it, and I can't wait for the spring, like where we're at right now, when I can open all the doors and windows and the weather is just perfect. The breeze is coming in. It just feels so great. That was my cat Gracie. I want to make sure I don't screw this up, because I have a tendency to not think, as we've learned. And once I'm started, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we're started, we're good to go, because it's easy enough to follow the pattern. So I just want to make sure I don't screw up my original counts of what I'm trying to get done here. Hello. There we go. Because once you do it, you can just repeat, like follow exactly what's below you. You're going to repeat it on top 4 times, and then you're going to do the opposite and you're good to go. Like it's really lovely like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Do, do, do. All right, so in the meantime, I mean, that's my big thing. I really love having all the windows open. I really love wind. And I know this seems silly, but one of the things I really appreciate where I live here now is it's very windy all the time. Like, not windy like, blowing your hair, but there's always a breeze. There's always a wind coming in. It makes me feel really good. I just really love having the air movement like that. Don't like it when things are really still all the time. And I think that's one thing. I lived in San Antonio, and it wasn't very windy, like it wasn't terribly humid, and it could get really bad. There's some places in Texas and, well, all through the South, if you're on the water in Mississippi or down in Houston or whatever, it's humid, like the heat it can be crazy with humidity. San Antonio is not like that. It's actually a really great city. I highly recommend it for vacations. If you want to head down to Texas anywhere, that's where I would recommend that someone go. San Antonio and Austin are probably my favorites in the state, but each to their own. But either way, I am not a fan of humidity, and I really like a good breeze. So I'm really happy where I am with as far as weather-wise goes. So we're right in like the peak of awesome weather, so this is, or yeah, we have really nice summers, really nice springs that way. So there we go. So we're moving along. After I finish this set of 4, I'm going to stop and show you. In the meantime, I was going to share with you, I'm going to end up talking about some movies in the future, like with different context or different purpose, like for the reason why I'm talking about them. But I know I'm going to end up doing that, so I can start off by saying that one of the things I like to watch on YouTube is reactors videos. And this will give me a chance to talk about some movies. I don't know if you can see it yet, but let's try this. Let's see. So this is the first row. You're going to be able to see it much more clearly, but can you see these 1, 2, 3, 4? These are, I guess I did front post double crochets here, so it gives it the up down look. And then right here, these were the back posts. So you can see how, just like with the other, it's pushed this set of loops forward. And because they're forward, they're going to look like a line across. And that's what gives it the grid effect. So by doing 4 front post double crochets, 4 back post double crochets, you get this alternating effect, either up like a vertical lines or horizontal lines. So by doing that for 4 rows, we make a nice square. And after 4 rows, we'll just do the inverse. So if these are back post double crochets, then these become front post double crochets for the next grid of 4. And that's how you end up working it all the way across. Okay, back to watching reactors videos. The reason I bring it up is I was trying to explain to a friend of mine why I enjoy them so much. And hey, shout out to some of my favorites. Awkward Ashley, Popcorn in Bed, Natalie Gold, it's Mr. Video. I can list off a whole bunch of them. I like them for different reasons, right? Like, this is how it works. It's one of the great things about YouTube. You have all kinds of content, and there's definitely going to be something for you. So these are, everyone has different things. Sometimes I like their perspective. There's a few people that I watch. Boy, I wish I could remember the guy who is the film. There's a couple. Natalie Gold's one, but there's a couple. There's a guy I watch. I really like because he's like a film student, and otherwise, he comes at it with a different perspective. Everyone has different things that they like. They don't like the way they comment. It matters how they edit their videos. It matters. A lot of them use Patreons. Of course, they have a lot of viewers who are voting on what movies they're going to watch. Well, sometimes there's people who have viewers. They're not choosing movies I want to see. Other people, they're having great movies, but, I don't like the way they edit it. Like, you got to figure it out. But you can find your person or the kind of people or kind of shows you like to watch. The reason I like doing it, and I just hearken this back, when you got your like good buddy over or whatever, and hey, let's watch a movie, and you pull out like, oh, I really want you to see this movie, and you put on that movie for them, and you spend it like you're watching them to see how do they like it, don't they like it, like that feeling. Or when you're watching a movie, it's someone's favorite, and you're like, man, do I have to tell them I don't really care for it, So I always stop to double check to make sure I haven't screwed up. I screwed up there. That way I never have to frog too far. I could do one more. That's what I think I get out of the reactors video. They're all watching it for the first time, so you get that effect of, or at least I shouldn't say they all are. I'm watching the people who are watching it for the first time. I'm not watching the people who are watching it like the 5th time and doing some sort of, review or whatever. Generally not. I'm getting the effect. What you're getting is I get to see this movie again, but I don't have to watch the whole thing if I don't really want to. It's just going to be the highlight scenes, like the scenes that I want them to see, like if you love horror films. I do not like horror films. I'm a complete suck. If you like horror films, then and there's like, I'm trying to think. I don't even. I've okay. Oddly, I'm such a suck and have. I don't like horror films. I've seen a lot of horror films. So, but if there's particular scenes that you like, that you want your friend to see, them like, oh, Sixth Sense. I'm gonna spoil Sixth Sense. You want to be there because you want to see the big reveal. You want to see your friend react to the big reveal. Oh my God, Usual Suspects. That's an example. Come on, Kaiser Sose. I want to see his face. I want to see it click, and that's what we're doing it for. When you have your friend or when you're sharing it with people and everything. And that's really what I'm getting out of it. I get all the highlight of those special kind of scenes that we're looking for. I get to see the best parts of someone that I like, this content creator. I like them. I like almost everyone I see online. That I get to see their reaction. I get to see their face go, get to see them bawl like babies when something goes on, like Endgame, Green Mile. If you haven't seen Green Mile, I highly recommend it. I don't like to spoil movies for anyone, but oh my God, you got to bring Kleenex for sure. I haven't seen The Notebook. I don't generally watch romantic movies, not very often. But I hear that people bawled during that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong thing. That kind of stuff. So, and I'm a complete suck, and I should say that's one of the reasons I don't do content creation. Like not content creation. I don't do reaction videos. One, I actually have seen a lot of videos, so I'm not in a position where I can say I haven't seen this. And I could go through and I have like a whole bunch of movies I could say select from to share with people my first time reaction. I've seen a lot of movies in my life, so that doesn't help. And the other part is, honestly, it would be so bad. I'm a complete suck, okay, about horrors, scary movies, too spooky, too violent. I spend the whole time flinching, jumping, especially like a horror with like really high tension. It doesn't even have to be a horror. Get me a thriller with like a really high tension level. I'm going to spend the whole movie like this, like covering my ears, putting it like it's really bad. If it is at all sentimental, if it is special moment, significant moment, I will cry. And not just like, have you seen these people cry? Tear going, oh my God. Oh, look at me. Bullshit. Ugly. Like, I'd be choking. I'd be, oh my God. Whatever. It'd be bad. It'd be so bad. And my nose runs. I'd just be blown. It'd be awful. So I don't do those kind of content creations. I am a terrible, terrible suck. And I react to cringe. So this is called secondary embarrassment that some people have. I actually looked it up once because I have long been recognized as quite weird about this. And I was really gratified. I looked it up to try and understand. I was very gratified to find out that I am not alone. There are plenty of people who experience what's called secondary embarrassment. And the best example I can give you is on shows like, say, Friends, or just when you have those cringe moments, those embarrassing moments. There's a lot of kinds of humor that are like that are very funny. I do get it, like early, oh my God, what's it called? What's his name? Who played Ace Ventura? Dumb and Dumber, like that kind of, not that kind of humor necessarily, but there's like a certain kind of cringe, or when it's embarrassing, or like the characters are embarrassed, they've done something really foolish, they've said something foolish, they've whatever else. But I feel that embarrassment so strongly. It's so uncomfortable that, when I was younger, until I really kind of understood it, when I was younger and like those moments were coming up in shows, I'd leave the room. you know. And my first husband was like, why are you jumping up and leaving all the time? And I just couldn't explain it. I didn't understand why no one else felt that way. I am not the person to do reaction videos to movies. I mean, you wouldn't get a reaction. I'd just be my own kind of weird self jumping around and freaking out and whatever. I think it would be entirely something. On the other hand, when it's really good, I think, maybe I get into them too much. When it's really good, when it's really, like, I don't know, when in Endgame, when they were, all together, assemble, when it's like all that, like the fight, the big reveal, the fight, the jumping up, the team comes together to overcome this, terrible thing, and they're gonna go. I am extra excited, bouncing in my seat, yelling and cheering like I'm at a horse race. I just, yeah, I might have a problem. I might have a problem with that kind of stuff. It just doesn't have to be movies, it could be TV shows. So I kind of feel like maybe that's not really going to do me much good if I was trying to. The only way I could do a first time reaction to movies is to do all the movies that make me react in the worst possible way. So, I mean, like, it would be horror movies and all those cringe movies and everything else, and that would be the end of me all. Well, or I'd get I'd be extremely popular as the, like, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, everyone could be. You could just look at this like, don't do this, kids. Like that sort of thing. Okay, I just dropped that thing off my hook. Let me check that I'm doing 4x4x4. I am. I have not screwed up my count. This is the one that when you first start off, I just really like to make sure, because it makes life so much easier. So, my yarn is good. So this is good. But when it comes to reaction videos, I really like the content creators. There's some people out there making awesome, fun videos. Like, I do really enjoy it. I like not having to watch the full movie, but I get to see the important key bits that I want to share with them. Like, I want to see them react to this thing. I want to see their reaction. I want to see, like, all the key scenes. I think it's great fun. Like, I really enjoy it. So I'm just bringing that up because there are some movies that I'm going to recommend. Like, we're doing this WIP and Chat, or what did I call it? WIP and Talk? Was that it? WIP and Talk? I'm going to have to look to see what I've named this section here. But the reason I've set it up like this is so I can just sit here and do my work and chat. And I'm just going to share and talk about the things that I want to talk about. I appreciate that you're here. I mean, give me a like, give me a subscribe, chat with me. If this works really well, maybe I'll move to doing some lives. I participated in other lives and other channels. Shout out to Floss and Crochet. And I really enjoy those, but I'm still so new. I mean, I'm just going one deal at a time, right? So whatever I've called this, the only thing I'm going to have to worry about is not getting onto anything. Did I grab the wrong? I did not do the wrong stitch, but I think I somehow picked up. Oh no, that's just the way it's sitting. No, that was fine, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Never mind. It was fine. It was just my eyes being silly. So when I'm doing this talk, I'm just going to try and stay away from, I'm very politically active. I love my sciences. I love all kinds of things, and I talk relentlessly. So I'm going to try and share all the things that are as accessible and non-political, non-argumentative as I can. I may have the occasional rant, and I will put a fair warning on that because I have issues. I'm feminist. I have all kinds of things. So I have things that I stick quite nicely, and I know that the thing to do is to really kind of walk this middle nice line and make it all, and I'm not very good at that. I like everybody. Have your own opinions. This is not about any kind of argumentative in any kind of way. But I tend not to couch too many things. It's mostly that I do believe that there's all kinds of variation in the world, and that's important. I think it's really important to have differences and just variety. Variety makes life beautiful and spectacular. So what I think and what I believe is not the lay of the land, the rule to go by, or anything like that. On the other hand, I'm not going to try and like speak to this broad spread so I can like capture and not offend the most people. I don't want to offend anybody at all. And if I ever do, let me hear about it so that, if I've done something that's inappropriate, I'll apologize, absolutely. But at the same time, I think it's okay to have different opinions and to say those things out loud. So, I'm just avoiding discussing any of those topics that tend to be divisive at the moment, that divisive, I guess is the word, at the moment, or, do anything. I'm not trying to set off any big discussions. I'm just here to have a chat about stuff. But I'm sure occasionally I will have the occasional discussion. I will try and give fair warnings so people can like jump over that bit if they don't want to hear it. Fair enough. But in the meantime, I have all kinds of stuff I could talk about that doesn't fall into that, including movies. So let me see here, before I finish this row, I don't even know what I want to talk about next. I think I want to, one thing I'm going to mention here, when it comes to movies, I'll tell you what, I'll talk about, at some point in time, I'm definitely going to have to, there's movies we absolutely love, they're super enjoyable, or the movie that you love to cry to, or your comfort movie, you know what I'm talking about. All of those things. They're the romantic, like there's movies we have in our hearts. But don't you have movies that, I'm going to stick with movies right now, that changed you? That imprinted on you, impacted you, affected you in such a way that they're important. They are and you know what I mean, like, so there's some of those big important movies, there's something that changed who you are, and that's really important. Like, I was really involved in theater and film when I was in school, when I was first in high school and younger, and there's all kinds of reasons that I loved it, and blah blah blah. But one of the things that I took me a while to figure out, and I finally understood how that works. Stories are how we know who we are. Stories are what makes us human, really. It's what makes animals, I want to say human. Our dogs they have stories in their minds about who they are. And they learn that from us, from their interactions with us. The stories that we tell ourselves are how we shape who we are and what we believe and what's important to us. It's just incredibly important. So movies, I mean, that's what books do. That's what movies do. That's why they can be life-changing. They reach down into our hearts and our souls in such a profound way that we are changed by that and forever affected. And I really like that. I think there's, there are some films, there's some films that, no, you know what I mean? Like, no. But there really are some experiences that do that for us, or that do it for us and maybe not for someone else, whatever. But so I'm going to start off, I will probably do a whip and talk sometime. I don't know whether I'll end up doing each movie, but I think at some point I'm going to come up with a list of, let's say, 5 movies. And I say this so that if you have some, I'd love for you to list them. But 5 movies that are important to me in the way that they taught me something about who I want to be, who I think we are as people, or our relationships, or how we want to live our lives. Just the things that we really find important. And it's amazing because there's all kinds of movies that can do that for you, who can that can have that kind of impact. And sometimes they're movies that you only see once and can never see again. So I'm sure for some people, like Schindler's List or Saving Private Ryan, or lots of movies like that people only, some people see lots of times, but some people have only seen once, and they are upsetting and otherwise, I want to say traumatic, but not necessarily. They are impactful enough that it is difficult to rewatch. And that's understandable, I think. There are some movies I've seen that I won't see again. So I'd love to hear from you, any number of them, but maybe up to 5 movies that, if you had, not an alien, but let's just say like a cloned human who was starting out, and you had to give them, oh, look what I did. I just got on a roll. I was busy talking and wasn't thinking. Because I'm busy talking. All right, well, hold on. It wasn't that bad. I just got started and went on. This may happen a lot. I don't know how this whip and chat thing is going to go. This may happen a lot. But actually, it's just because I'm doing this basket weave stitch. And once I have completed this first row, I don't have to actually count in any capacity. I can just do whatever was below it. So it'll be fine. Let me just go through. 1, 2, 3. There's my 4th. Right? I just always have to double check, because when you do this, it kind of sits off to the right just a little bit until you keep doing the crochet work. So I want to make sure I'm not missing any posts when I do this. And I just like to double check. So I only have to, if I have to frog like I just did, I'm only frogging like a few stitches or a row or so. Okay, but anyway, put down movies that you think are really impactful, especially movies that are not the standard ones. Like The Green Mile, I think, is a really amazing movie. As an example, extremely moving. I cry like a baby. Everyone cries during it. It's humorous. Like there's funny moments. It's caring. It's magical, or spiritual anyway. It has you think about a number of things about how we live. It really reaches right down into your soul and sparks something, in my opinion. I don't know anyone who has watched the film and not been touched and not come out better for it. That's what I mean by that kind of movie. But for instance, and Green Mile isn't like on my list. I'm talking about, make a wish list of movies that you would like to see people watch. 5 movies that you're shaping your blank slate human. You get 5 movies to kind of shape them. What movies would you choose? Like, for instance, one of my movies would be Pleasantville. And I'm not going to go into a bunch of all of it, but I love the movie Pleasantville. I love all of and I've watched it several times, and I wrote a couple papers on it, which is why I probably have more to say about that than the average Pleasantville viewer might. But I really find the messages, the characterizations, what I learned about relationships and the interactions and the way that it's done, I learned I'm a better person for it. It really touched me. I think that people come out better people. straightforward. Just you come out as a better person. That's what I'm saying. So let me just get this. Hold on. I have to split this. 2 and 1 more. So, all right. Did I do this right all the way? 4, 4, 4. I see 4, 4, 4. Yes, I did not screw it up. And this is what I'm talking about at the end of my basket thing. I only have 3 stitches in this last one. It's going to be fine. No one's going to notice. You haven't noticed yet, right? Okay, so far, all it is, if you can just see this top row, you can't even really tell. You have this bar across, 4 stitches, and then these are kind of right side up. That's fine. So I'm going to turn my work. When you turn your work, the whole point is I need to do 4 of the same for 4 rows up. So here, these are my 3. Let me do my 3 so it'll get past this. I don't have to do a bunch of explaining. Let me just come out of here and do my stacked single crochet, which I am really liking, as opposed to when I'm doing something that is filled like this. I'm really liking the stacked single crochet instead of the chain 3. I will show, and another, when I do the tutorial, I will show exactly how to do that, because I haven't done anything on it yet. Let me see where I'm at. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these 2, that's 1. Here's my second one. Here's my third one. Let's see if it's a little bit easier to see out of this. So I've turned my work. So all my back posts are not, like, you don't start the same way. You don't just go, oh, I'm always starting with my front post double crochet. Nay, nay. What you want to do is you want to reinforce for 4 rows exactly what has happened. So, which is not, you're not going to be able to see very well with the way I'm doing it here, but I'm in my next set. These were, let's see if I can show it. I'm just going to see if I can make this happen. So there's the 3 that I started. Here is my next set of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see how they are like pushing forward. These would be the front post double crochet. That's going to, when I come in on a front post, I'm going to do one right now. It's going to pull that up, right, and push it forward. So it continues on. Yeah, this isn't much of a thing, but it's not a tutorial. It continues making it high. So I'm going to do 4 of the front post double crochets, and when I'm done that, on the next set, I'm going to do 4 back post, and that's going to make another row of this bars across. These are the back post. That's because that's what I'm seeing as I do here. So I'm starting back post, I'm going to do the front post, and now I don't even have to think about it because I'm just going to sit on top of whatever I have below. As below, so above. I'm going to do in my stitch. I've done 4 front post double crochets. Now I'm going to do 4 back post double crochets because that's what I'm seeing below me. And when I've done 4 rows, that's when I'm going to do exactly the opposite. Until I get my tutorial up, if you jump on this because you love it so much and you're going to crochet away, more power to you. Come join me. But I understand that you may have to go look at a tutorial for basket weave stitch to get a good look at this. It'll make so much more sense when I've got it at a much closer video. I am going to let you go in just a minute. I am going to keep working on this and finish the basket weave, possibly before I come back on and talk, but we're going to see. Let me do one more front post set, and then I can show you what this looks like before I let you off. So yeah, you know what? Give me the 5 movies. I'm going to pick up this in the next Whip and Talk. I'm going to pick this up again. Pleasantville is one of the movies that I think is important. And I'm going to think about a few more that, you know, that had an impact, or I would recommend, oh my goodness, itchy, I got a hair, that I would recommend for people to see. I have to think of some more because I don't want to jump the gun. Say the wrong. Green Mile, yeah, I have to put Green Mile on there. So Pleasantville, Green Mile, I'm only going to do the 2 right now. I will come back with the other 3. That's where I'll pick up next time. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I'm really glad you came by. If you stuck through the whole thing, well, I mean, awesome. Give it a like, give it a subscribe. Definitely leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. And I'm going to see you next time. Probably tomorrow. Talk to you soon. Bye.